Stephen Leacock, thou shouldst be living at this hour. Canada has need of thee. I thought of the Mariposa genius when reading of Finance Minister Monod's side-splitting defense of access for cash political fundraisers. Mr. Monod has seriously argued that the high-placed and wealthy who flock to Liberal fundraisers do so to underscore their commitment to democracy. It's a real knee-slapper. For example, when in a Rosedale superhouse, a handful of billionaires and a senior Chinese Communist Party official get to whine and waltz with our Prime Minister, why, they are only there to promote Canadian democracy. And when days after there's a $1 million gift from one of the businessmen to the Trudeau Foundation, 50,000 of which commissions the statue of Mr. Trudeau's father, we are to conclude that Canadian democracy has been greatly fortified rather than any relationship between the giver of the gifts and the receivers thereof. Maybe. The Federal Ethics Commissioner thinks it's not very savory, and the opposition is rightly much more stern. And as to the other defense of these gifting galas, that not just billionaires, but everyone has access to Mr. Monod or Mr. Trudeau, well, when I hear of a fundraiser entirely composed of truck drivers and hotel housekeeping staff, or unemployed engineers and heavy equipment operators, why then I'll give the benefit of the doubt to that argument. Until then, let's go out on a limb. When various high rollers attend and contribute to a private political fundraiser with the finance or prime minister, I'll wager that it is proximity to the ears of both and the ears of their aides that is more absorbing concern than the nervous state of Canadian democracy. Premier Wynne of Ontario offers the most exuberant example of the cash for access system, and she's currently at 14% in the polls because, in part, that's the game the Ontario Liberals played. Well, it bombed with Ontario voters. But curiously, some of the same staff that tended to Dalton McGuinty and Miss Wynne's fundraising ways are now lending the same Ontario-honed skills to Justin Trudeau. Why they are blind and Mr. Trudeau remains blind to the political mess in Ontario, and why they would attempt a replay of that disaster in Ottawa, are they eager for self-destruction, is a real puzzlement. I think it's a mindset. Liberals seem to think that because they are Liberals, that defines whatever they do as good, healthy, and pure. For if Stephen Harper had been nibbling hors d'oeuvres with a similar clan, and donations had flowed to a Harper Foundation and for a statue of Harper Sr., question period would be an exhaust blast of indignation and horror at the Harper crowd's cynical greed and bottomless contempt for ordinary Canadians. And rightly so. Over to you, Mr. Leacock. For The National, I'm Rex Murphy.